You're listening to the Journey of the Christian Dad podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Luigs. Who is the spiritual leader of your family? Is it you, your pastor, your spouse, the media? Do you know? I did, and sadly, no one was taking responsibility to lead our family. Well, friends, someone needs to take that job, and that man is you. You may not feel qualified, and some days I don't. With the help of God and a community of dads helping each other on this journey, you can be the leader your family deserves. We welcome you to the Journey of a Christian Dad podcast. We've got Anthony Trucks with us here today. I'm so excited to have him with us. I love all of our guests, but Anthony's got a special place in my heart. He just has a heart for helping people, loves to help, and he's got one of the craziest backgrounds of anybody I've ever even heard of, much less somebody that I know. So he's played in the NFL, got into a foster family, has got a married to a wife, divorced, married again, like just all of it wrapped up in a nutshell. And then for some reason he decided to be an American Ninja Warrior, and NFL guys don't do well there, and was able to ring the buzzer and finish that. Like, that's a huge, huge deal. So Anthony, you have got energy. I just appreciate that. I appreciate your heart for helping others. I absolutely love your humble boldness. You've thought through things, taken things to another level, and you have some convictions to you and some things you've worked through compared to being one of those wishy-washy type people that maybe this, maybe that. Like, you're not afraid to talk about who you are and what you believe, and at the same time, you're not like a person that judges others and avoids people and their ideas and their thoughts. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it greatly.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. This is gonna be fun. That's who I am. I don't know. I mean, I can't add anything. I don't know what to add. We're just gonna start talking, and whatever needs to be added to people's hearts will come from the words I say, I guess. But yeah, man, I just do me. The simplest thing I found in life is just I can be me really well. So let me do that. And then along that journey, some people will like me and some won't. Not everybody loved Jesus, so it's okay if people don't like me. I kind of do my thing, but at the end of the day, I have to make sure that I have done something that makes me feel as though I did right by my God, did right by my ethics and my morals. And if somebody is in opposition, their prerogative, but I can't live my life by trying to please those people, because nothing comes good of that. So I just do me, and it works out. That's how I've looked at my life, man. It's been great so far.
Yeah. So times that we've been able to interact, and I've heard you various places. That's you already mentioned it right there. Like, it's not that you're beating people over the head with your Christianity, and you've even been in places that wasn't outright Christian, and you've said, "Hey, I got to step into something here. It's just who I am."
Yeah.
And you explain the story. You're like, if you're Christian or not, it's okay, but I'm just being me. And,
yeah.
The host of that particular one was like, "No, do it, man. Like, talk about it." But you bring that, like, it's just who you are. And often guys aren't as bold as you are, and you're humble about it, but you're willing to talk about it. And I love that. And I think we all need more guys like you. So how are you able to just step into that?
Well, a couple of things. One, I don't have to worry about my self-worth coming from the individuals who may or may not like me. Like, I have a wife that I love, that loves me. I've got a solid base of friends. I have great colleagues. So I have my safe places, so that if something happens out in the world and I feel like, man, I get attacked, like, I can go back to my safety nets. And God's obviously one of those, for sure, right? So I don't have a problem talking about it. Now, I'm not a guy that will go out and demean other people because they don't have my same faith. And I find that there's different paths for people to get there. Some people's path is to be a pastor and to preach it and be the person that leads that. I've found that for me, I got an interesting way of just being that is it's attracting to humans, and I don't know what it is. And I'm not saying I'm attractive from an aesthetic standpoint. Like, I am settled inside. And so it makes it easier for people to be around me, because, like, I can be in a room with you and I don't have to talk, and you don't have to talk. We can just sit there and watch a show, and it's peaceful, right? I can tell you things as a stranger that other people won't tell because they're ashamed of something, and everything about me is an open book, man. It's just, there's a different sense of me, how I am just being. And I think because of that, I don't have any problem sharing the fact that, like, I think the way that I work with bringing people into faith is, like, I'm a guy that you can be around. And then when you ask, like, how are you this way? Like, well, part of it is because I'm a man of faith. Like, so it then drops a seed, like, oh, like, this guy's different. because I am like this, 6'1", 240-pound black guy. And most people, it's like, I look intimidating if you saw me in a dark alley, but I'm a nice guy, but I have a switch. I used to play professional football. So I have this area where like men will listen to me because they have that alpha perspective. I played linebacker, right? I'm not saying I'm an alpha. I easily play beta around very alpha guys. I have no problem. But if I need to, I'm the guy, right? So just, I know how to play the role, and it's more of just being around humans. So because of that, that men will listen to me. So I have a space to open up my heart and share. And then the women will listen to me because I'm in a very solid relationship. There's no fear of me possibly hitting on them or that awkwardness. It's just straight. If it's a friendship, it's a platonic friendship. I don't have many, but they're mostly like work relationships or the church, right? So outside of that, it's like there's no issue with having communication and conversation. I'm not going to be in your DMs saying weird things. It's just not who I am.
Right.
So it creates this space for people to be drawn in, and in being drawn in, they find that what powers me is faith. And I think it brings people in their own nuance towards it.
Yeah, that's so strong. And when you've got, I know when I've heard somebody speak like you, it's like I just want to be drawn in. I want to ask a few more questions. And
Yeah, I'm all for it. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
look, man, I'm a vessel. It just works. I like to have fun. I'm like a loose guy. I am serious when it comes to people. Like I am very serious when it comes to my coaching and very serious when it comes to my speeches. Like those are things I take serious, but I take them with a serious sense of levity, because the way you get in is not just through barraging people with crazy words and being reprimanding. And some people it works, just doesn't work for me. And in regular conversation, this is who I am, man. I'll go in my house and be like this. I don't turn it on. If I get tired, maybe it looks like it's off, but it's not. It's just I'm tired because I talked all day. But man, that's just a consistent flow. And I believe that's what God made me for, was just to be this guy. I went through my crazy. I've had craziness happen, but I'm not this marred, closed off. Like I'm the guy that's like, man, it's a pattern interrupts for a lot of people. It's like, I didn't expect this. And so they then will listen. So I find that I have something to say, and it's not that I've planned this, but it's like, I'm just saying things from life. So yeah, man, it's just like, I can share the faith. I can share myself. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a dad. I have the same problems. My wife wants me to fix things in the backyard, do that stuff, but I'll also get in the stage and train Amazon, staff and work with the executives. Like I do it all. And I love all of it because all of it is what God created me to do.
That's great. So the name of the podcast is The Journey of a Christian Dad.
Yeah.
And I know you've had a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share a little bit about the Christian dad journey in you and, that side of it?
That's the first time I've had this conversation. We're going to do it though. It must be fun. So when I was a kid, my real mom gave me and my three siblings away. I was 3 years old, bounced around, had a lot of craziness happen. Ended up with like some really bad people doing some really bad things to us, and separated, but just dealing with craziness. And I remember I got brought to a family, which is my family now, only black person in all white family. So diversity issues, a lot of craziness there. And then at 16 years old, I was taking these trips to different colleges, like 16, 17 different colleges, to essentially like try to go to college. I had worked myself through some really interesting sticking points. And we were a family that was like, we believe in God, like on Christmas and Easter, like that's kind of like, but never prayed. We don't go to church. It's never part of it. I remember like I took a trip to Washington State of all places. And I go to Washington State and I meet this guy, Marty, his name's Marty something. And he's my escort. He takes me around places, right? Like I don't know what they call him back then. Yeah. It's recruiting. I don't know, something like he takes me places and
I was closer to that age.
Yeah.
I was dying to be in this story.
Oh yeah, right. So he was my host, I think it was called. So he's taking me around, takes me to a party. Now there was a guy that had got me there in a sense. It was a guy from a neighboring high school back home that was in the off season. We had thrown the ball together. It's like, man, you're great at this. And he told his college coaches about me. They looked at me and I started getting all these college scholarship offers. And so I'm at this party and they take me to this room and they're like, pick one. It's a bunch of women against the wall. And I was like, oh, now back home, I have this girlfriend that I had for a couple of years. And I'm like, I don't know, man, it's not kind of my thing. And I the good thing is because of my childhood and stuff, I'm connected to women deeply when they're my primary women. So I don't cheat. But then it was still this weird, like awkward feeling. And all of a sudden this guy comes out of nowhere who really doesn't belong at this party. And it's this guy, Chris. And Chris like, hey, you want to get out of here? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So he takes me to the top of this stadium. It's Washington State, the Palouse. And we're up in the stadium because he was a quarterback, had access to the facilities. And we just sit there in the snow kind of. And he's like, hey, man, like, how's it looking? Coming the next year, he says, how's your walk with faith? I was like, well, I really don't have it. He goes, well, you're about to go into a world that has a whole lot of crazy. And if you don't have any kind of foundation, you will get tossed around like a leaf in the wind. Women will come
Wow.
at you, the news, it'll be a lot. He's like, if you have no grounded base, like you may want to get one. And I didn't actually, there's no, pray with me, no acceptance. It was just more of a conversation. Cool. Only a year older. He's probably at the time, maybe he's 18, 19-year-old kid. So it's funny as I go home and as I land after this trip and I get off out of the flight and I walk out and I walk up to this taxi. It's like a burgundy van and there's this guy standing out there. He's probably like 5'8", 5'9", olive skin, dark brown hair that kind of goes to his shoulders. And the dude looks like Jesus. And I'm telling you, I wish that I had taken a picture or something, but back then you don't. And I hope people don't think I'm making this up because it's good for the story. The dude looked like Jesus. That's the only way I can explain it. And I get in the car and it's first thing he says to me, "Are you saved?" First, he didn't say hi. He says, "Are you saved?" I was like, "It's funny you asked that." I just got off. I told him the story. I just got off his thing. He goes, "Oh," he says, "Well, do you mind if I kind of share my testimony?" So from the San Francisco airport all the way to my house in Antioch, which is probably about a good hour-ish drive, the guy just tells me his testimony, and we're talking back and forth. And we stop at Ashley Court. It's a block before my street. He says, "Hey, do you mind if I pray for you? Do you accept Jesus Christ in your heart?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So we pray. I accepted Christ into my heart as my Lord and Savior. And that became this journey that started out. And that's the beginning of where I take it. Because now what happens is I'm this guy who's starting this journey. I don't know what it's like. We're all trying to figure it out. My family's my family. And it's hectic. We're chaos, we're poor. It's just weird. I get to college and I'm with my high school sweetheart. And let's just say as a kid, I didn't do the whole premarital sex pause thing. I was a dumb kid. And next thing you know, I'm a sophomore in college and I have a baby coming, which is unique. But here's the thing. When I find this out, at no point in time ever have I been like, "Oh man, what am I going to do?" It was the opposite. I was like, "Oh, hell yeah. I get to give back to this life in a way that wasn't given to me. Like I get to be a great dad."
Wow.
So I never had that fear of like, what am I going to do? Can I handle this? I don't know what it was, but the gut of me was like, I got this. Granted, I'm a full-time college student, full-time college Division I football player at the University of Oregon. We're like ranked in the country, right? And I have a fiance. We had actually been engaged the year before I proposed to her. Fiance was also a full-time student, and we have a baby coming 8 hours from any sources of true family support. Right? It's like, this is not the ideal situation. We figured it out, man. We did it. I mean, I'd be up till sometimes 5, 6 in the morning, get up for 7 o'clock for school, practice a whole day. But that's what dads do. I didn't at that point identify as a college athlete with a kid. I identified as a dad who was a college athlete. There was a
Wow.
difference there. So my first sense was like, this is who I am. I'm a dad. I'm going to be a dad first. And dude, college for me was fun. I had a little buddy to hang out with and he pooped and cried and did all this nutso stuff. Dude's about to turn 16 in like 2 weeks. It's nuts. And he's a great kid. He's smart. He's at a phenomenal school. He's doing well. But that was my journey. And to be totally honest, man, I've had multiple stages of it because what happened is now I'm good, right? Then I go to, I think at that time I got pretty close to faith and we were going to church in college and it was great. And then I got the NFL and I didn't even cuss in the NFL. Like it wasn't my thing. And then I got out of the NFL and I came home to the real world and the real world's crazy. And I tore my shoulder, lost my identity. My marriage falls apart. I'm not a present husband or father because I'm trying to build this new identity because I had this massive crisis when football ended. So I'm building this gym and I'm building me and everything falls apart, man. Wife has an affair. Everything falls. It all got torn down. And I remember like, I didn't want to be here at one point. I was like, if this is life post football, dude, I don't want this. Like, this is not what I'm trying to experience. And I had these kids. We had 2 more kids. So now I have twins. And dude, everything comes tumbling down. I get to the point where like, I'm this dad post football. I have a gym business. I live in a 500 square foot studio apartment with my kids sleeping on a twin bed air mattress. And I'm on a twin myself. I mean, we're the bottoms. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Behind my front desk staff's mom's house. You know what I'm saying? Like I was in a little in-law unit. How small is that? I felt so small. And then, I mean, I would try to make relationships work. And I was unfortunate. I pretty much started falling from my faith. So I'm sleeping around. I'm doing the multiple partner thing. And it felt bad, man. And to be totally honest, the father journey changed massively. It was 2016, January 1st, 2016. I had gone to Russia for a presentation and had come back and I'd met some woman out there and we'd had like just a purely lustful, relationship. And she'd flown back. And so she was there for New Year's. And again, just physical, couldn't speak English. I couldn't speak Russian. I mean, it just was this whole very icky situation. I remember waking up New Year's Day. I couldn't talk to her. I remember just looking in the mirror and having this like overwhelming sense of just shame. Like I would never want my daughter to see me like this or to be with a man like me. I would never want my sons to be like me or see me like this. my mom, like she had passed away in 2014 from MS. And I was like, this is not the man that she raised. And my God would not let me into his home right now. And it was a massive wake up call and a massive come to Jesus, we'll call it, literally. And I started adjusting back to the things that needed to be done at an inherent, like, core level of what was right and wrong, and getting past the pain of the divorce and the blame of the divorce and all these things. And man, God grew me massively. He grew my wife too, because the reason we fell apart was because we were just young kids, 16 years old, got together. We didn't know who we were. Having kids it was doomed, right? It's just, unfortunately, no faith in the family, no faith in relationship. Her brother gave her a book by Joyce Myers. And the book he gave her, he's like a guy that's like a drug addict. Like he must have got the book from some car he robbed. I don't even know, but he
Right.
gave her the book. And she said it sat on her bedstand for a while. And then she woke up on a Sunday by herself, no kids, no friends, hungover, and realized that she's 30 years old and this is not the life she wants to live. This isn't right. And she picked the book up and she said she cried and she read and she cried and she read, and God found her and opened her heart. She'd always been Catholic, and God opened her heart, and he started growing her. And so while I was doing my stuff, he was preparing her. So he was doing both of us at the same time.
Wow.
And then the beginning of that year was tough for both of us. We didn't know. We just were still arguing and bantering. By the end of that year, we had taken she had invited me to a trip to get away. She's like, I want to get away from the craziness of our society and our community. Take a vacation. We're not together. Just get out of here for 3 weeks. I was like, cool. I work at a distance. I coach and everything. So, yeah, we go to Costa Rica. And the best way I can explain it is I get to meet someone for the first time that I'd known for 16 years. It was this different woman. And it was a strong woman. It was a respect, like, from my respected deep. I'm like, who is this? Where'd you put the other person? And we found a way to try again. And in trying again, like, we have a faith-based marriage. We are at the church consistently. I just drove my pastor to get a rototill for his house this morning, right? I'm the leader of the spiritual base of my household, and she's right alongside. And God mended this marriage, and in doing so, has allowed me to become the father my daughter can be proud of, to where I know that if she gets with a man like me, she'll be with a good man. My boys can aspire to be like me, not only just the way that I am as a Christian man, but also as how I show up in this world, how I work hard, how I parent them, right? There's just certain parts of me as a father that, because it's all encompassing. It's like, it's not just like I'm a good dad. It's like, am I a good dad to both boys separately, my daughter separately? Am I a good husband? Am I a good business owner? Am I a good coach? Am I a good speaker? How do I do things in the dark that will come to the light? Who am I? And so all these things come together. And the big piece is, as much as I'm a father, I'm also a son. I think that's the main key for me to make sure everybody's listening to is,
Yes.
I am a father, but I'm 100% a son. I have a biological father who's unfortunately passed. I have an adoptive father, but I got a father who, when I have my moments of what do, like, he's my business partner. Like, I have arguments, like, with my wife, like, he's my buddy, I'm giving a call, because it helps me find those special spaces that my brain won't go to because I'm in an emotional state and I'm not thinking. So I read, and it opens up doors, and it helps my life be better.
How does your wife feel about there being somebody above her?
I think in the beginning, before she had come to faith, that was the thing where there was never a thing for her like that. I think that's one of the problems with a lot of people who lack the faith and can't comprehend how I am, because my decisions I make aren't always based off how I feel. Because, to be honest, there's things where I'd be like, I'd feel like not giving this refund right now because this person on paper doesn't get it, but my God says, no, it's the right thing, son. This person, like, I've had people like tough spots, can't get COVID hit, tough spots. I came in, I know we paid a lot for this, but I can't afford it right now because I have my money back. Contractually, no, but contractually, yeah, you got it. So there's this power above us, and I think she gets that, and she understands that, and it helps us stay in a clean space, because I'm telling you, having a lack of darkness is priceless. Having a lack of the things in the background that you like, what if somebody finds out? Like, when you ask, why am I just so out there and humble, and because there's nothing you're going to find on me that come and can say, oh, but look, he's like this. Every message that I have, every email, I do it clean, and it's easy. That's the thing. It's not like I'm fighting to do it. It's easy for me to just be open because it's all there. And so because of that, like, it makes life smoother and simpler and peaceful. It's priceless. My wife is the same thing. We have a lightness to how we live our life. And there's a joy that the two of us both have, this person above us that gives us that direction and anchors us when times are tough. So because of that, man, life is good. And that's funny, because a lot of people are like, they'll ask, like, well, how do you even know God exists? Let's say he does, right? At the end of the day, I'm living right. Let's say he doesn't. At the end of the day, I'm still living right. And that doesn't hurt anybody. I'm happy. The world's good. So whether or not you believe, it's of no no specific pressure to me. I know there's a desire to try to be a disciple, and I do that in my own unique ways. But if you don't believe, I'm not going to be the one to pound you over the head with the Bible. Like, just watch me live my life and watch what takes place and know that it's not just because of me.
How do you feel being the man, being the dad of the family, being the spiritual leader of the home, and being rooted in Christ? How do you feel that impacts the family?
Oh, massively, man. And I'm not perfect. I have my moments where I cuss and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Stop it. Being a bad guy. It's just a different sense of lack of imposter feeling, right? That's the thing. I think sometimes we as fathers, when things get hard, like there's different levels of expression we have, ways we have to teach our boys and our daughters to live in this world. But if you have something in the background where you're not rooted in something, or at least not rooted in Christ, what happens is you have this consistent sense of, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if this is right. What if I'm found out? And so we do is we kind of we overbear in a negative way, or a more commanding way, or more just I don't know, kind of a negative energy comes out of us because we got to be the right. We're right, and it's like, yeah, no, I don't have to. If I'm wrong, like the other day, this just happened 2 nights ago. I had this cup of water. We have these glasses, like little plastic cups, and I had a glass of water, and ice in it. And I saw a cup on the mantelpiece. I'm like, I didn't put that cup there, but you haven't the matching cup, which means you're either taking both cups. You took my cup, son. And me and my son had a little argument. Like, I didn't take your cup. Dad, I didn't take it. Yes, you did, because that's not my cup over there. This is my cup. I haven't even sat over there. We're going back and forth. And I'm like, he's like, you think I took your cup? I was like, yeah, because it's my cup, right? I'm weird on my cups because I don't want anybody drinking my water. And so I'm sitting there and we're having dinner. And I got my foot in the chair because I'd finished, and I stand up because I need to have a digest. And I'm thinking like, oh, wait, earlier when me and Tatum were just home by ourselves, she asked for some seaweed. I sat in that chair. I finished my mangoes, put my cup on the mantelpiece right there. And I left it and forgot it. And so here I had a decision. Do I have the ability do I just hide it because no one's going to know? Nobody would know, right? Nobody knows. Or I go, no, that was my cup. And I did. I was like, hey, that's my cup. Mom goes, oh, okay. And she's like, that, good job. Thanks, Dad. And it's a different energy that they feel because now they see, like, this is how you do it right. This is how and that's a faith-based thing. That's an internal darkness I don't want to have, that I don't want to lie to my family. My God will know, right? I will know. My God will know. So my rooting in Christ and my sense of integrity and ethics and honor and what is right, like, that's what drives me. And so they get to see that on display, like, in that kind of moment there. And I think it lends to have them feel respected enough to know that there's a dad who realizes he's not infallible, and then realize at the same time, there's not this sense of perfection. There's something greater than me that I serve. That's the right thing to do. Because again, that's the right thing to do. It didn't feel right though. It felt like, oh, I don't want to do it. And when you have those battles and you go with what you feel beyond what you know is right, things fall apart.
So there's a guy I was talking to the other day, and he was talking about 2 buckets. So you've got a coaching business.
Yeah.
And oftentimes in that world and the advice books and all that stuff, often it limits, or I shouldn't say limits, just omits the Bible stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, here's how you live life or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was talking about how he had 2 buckets. He didn't understand, like, Think and Grow Rich was the book he had a problem with biblically.
Yeah.
Because he had money things in his head and stuff like that. And then he's like, over the years, I finally understood that they fit together. Yeah. But the way that I did it as a man, like we do, is we stick things in boxes and just deal with them separately. And he finally understood how to put it together. So through, like, what you do professionally and those type things, how do you put that together?
I don't put together the marketing or front end. I put it together in how I interact. So my coaching business is not an information only. It's a coaching business. I coach people. And I will drop nuggets of thoughts of faith. I don't pray and give scripture to the group, because that's just something where some people aren't prepared for it. But like, my realm of work's identity, and there is a deeper spiritual conversation about identity and who God created you to be and what you're supposed to do. And I think that we have this amazing plan that we mess up, that we get in the way of. We pile on top of this identity poor actions with our free will, and lustful stuff and bad actions and things that are in the dark. And so it's hard to fully be our identity. So there is a piece of it that has a spiritual base, and it weaves itself in through conversation. It's not something I will outwardly talk about, not because there's anything wrong with it. I don't think that there is. Like, it would fully be fine. And I've considered, like, maybe being a pastor one day. I was like, no, I don't think that's my direction. And so it is in there. It's just not in there in a very explicit way, but it always works its way in through conversation and what I talk about with my clients.
Yeah. So people I've talked to recently, I've heard it over and over and over again. They're like, yeah, all the concepts, all the things I see and read, it goes back to when I filter it down, can I find it in the Bible for the
Yeah.
truth?
Yeah.
And if it's not in there, then it shouldn't be in that other world that I'm listening to.
Well, me and my pastor asked this. I talked to him. I was like, how do I, the work that I do, how do you see this? Is this something that's bad and wrong? And he's like, no, at the end of the day, God gave you an identity and gave you something you're supposed to do. And he gave you skill sets and stuff to do. And this may be his way of getting you to get more people to him. And so that's kind of the thing that I think for me. And so the structure and aspects and exercise, it's hard. Like the Bible tells you ways to look at things and live your life, but it's not like definitive exercise, like go and do this, go and write this. So a lot of the things that I do, like they are based in a sense of becoming this person. A lot of it's exercise is based on what do you want to do? What are you called to do? What do you feel is your thing? And so in that sense, it does tie to more of a biblical feel and what's right and what's wrong in those moments. So there is a tie to it, I guess, but it's not that a definitive, like I don't consciously think of tying it, but it's inherently there, I think.
Yeah. So a couple of things. What would you like to talk about and share with Christian dads? Like, I just want to open this up to
Yeah.
you.
I got like 2 minutes. So like, here's my thoughts. What I would do as a Christian father is one, be in the word, but here's the thing. You don't have to go and prepare in the darkness and then come back out and prevail. And, like all of a sudden, or like reveal yourself. Sorry. Reveals like, I'm this new Christian guy. Do it with your family, man. Get it. We have at our table, we have like a Bible. We have like a study Bible, one that's for like the kids. So at dinner time, after we're done, I pop it open, read a little chapter. It's like maybe 2 or 3 pages, but it tells the simple concepts, gives you some questions, and it's something that we all do together. Now, it's not going to be fully like the Bible, but it's like it's enough for you to get a sense of it. Lead that way. And then here's the cool thing. The more you do something, the more it becomes who you are to do it and talk about it. But unless you do that work in the dark, you're never going to feel comfortable. So do it with the people in your family that at the end of the day, like they're going to be part of this journey with you, and have a discussion, be transparent, be open. So start it by just starting somewhere. And it starts, you could do it 5 minutes a night after dinner. If you don't eat at the table, start eating at the table, dang it. Like get your family together, everybody at the table and read this Bible. It's going to feel weird. Yes. But after a while, do it for like a couple weeks and then a couple months. It'll feel weird if you guys don't do it. And that's the space you're at. Ever since we've been a family, we've been doing it, and it would feel super awkward. I notice it when we don't eat the table. It feels weird. I don't like it now. But growing up, we never did. And it felt weird when we first started doing it. But it's a matter of building the habits by taking those actions.
Oh, that's a home run. I always like to finish out with a challenge, and boom, you did it. Like,
Boom, got it.
I love that one. I love that one. Have dinner with your family. Talk about the Bible with your family.
Yeah.
Don't do it in the dark. Do it in the light. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just get started. Get started. I found when we, as the men of the family, as the leaders, step into that and do it openly, the family follows.
It always does, man. You're the leader. They'll follow you.
The family follows. Well, God bless you, Anthony. I
You as well.
appreciate you so much. Hope to have you back on sometime. And I look forward to sending people to this podcast, but also they should check out your Oz Shift podcast as well, and check out your Instagram as well, because you've got some great stuff on the Oz Shift podcast.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I enjoy doing it. I get to talk to cool people like yourself sometimes too, man. But yeah, it's a blast, guys. Take care, and God bless you all.
Appreciate you.